New you. So a little bit about me and my background. So I'm a nurse practitioner. I started my career in the urgent care, which was actually, I really enjoyed the job. I liked the fast pace, the quickness of it, the critical thinking, but the hours and the schedule was not ideal with little kids. So I transitioned into doing Medicare exams. And what was really fascinating with that was I was beginning to realize that a lot of women post-menopause we're all on the same medications. They're all on sleep aids and they're all on antidepressants. None of them are sleeping. All of them feel crappy. They have aches and pains. They toss and turn all night. They're depressed. They have vaginal dryness. Their libido sucks. And I was like, something's going on here. And it kind of turned me into a little bit of a detective to figure out why am I seeing this pattern with all of these women that are Medicare age. So my journey in functional medicine started a long time ago when I was pregnant with my son. I started questioning a lot of the things that were being recommended to me. And so I started doing a lot of research and did a lot of alternative things when it came to options. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole. So over the last 10 years, I've done lots of researching, studying, podcasts, webinars, trainings, all of that. And when the opportunity came to join the practice here at Valley Vital Medicine, I was really excited. So I kind of mentioned earlier to a few of you, Trevor saw a big need, our owner, in women's health. And he saw a lot of clients who were struggling with their hormones and needing help. So that is why I came. And I saw that big need with a lot of my Medicare patients, and so I was excited to kind of fill that need in our community. So I primarily focus on women's health and hormones. I do a lot with PCOS, thyroid, gut health, perimenopause, and menopause, which has been really, really fun. So we work on a lot of lifestyle, diet, movement, what people are putting in and on their bodies, their stress, their sleep, and then we do a lot with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy too. So personally, I love spending time with my family, being outside, and a fun little fact is I like burritos. So Chipotle is my favorite. I love chocolate too, but don't tell my clients dark chocolate though, right? Here and there in moderation. Big Harry Potter nerd, and I love photography too. So those are kind of like my little side passions, things I like to do. So today what we're gonna do is hopefully give you some tangible tips so that you can move into this year feeling like your best self. So we're gonna talk about how stress impacts your hormones, kind of our approach here at Valley Vital Medicine to stress management, and then some hopefully practical tips, and then we'll do our fun activity, which is making some roller bottles and some bath salts with some essential oils for you to take home, which is fun. So we're all familiar with stress. I mean, if you haven't dealt with stress before, I mean, you've done really well in life. But so stress is that physical, emotional, physiologic response to changes that are happening in your environment. 75% of adults are going to report that they consistently experience stress on a day-to-day basis, which I'm actually kind of surprised that number is not higher. So a lot of us are going to experience stress work, life, due to poor sleep habits, family, and nutritional deficiencies are also a big part in it too, that I see a lot with my clients. So when we're talking about hormones, everybody thinks about cortisol, right? So cortisol is a major hormone that's made by your adrenal gland that sits on top of your kidneys. That's the primary stress hormone that we all think of, but there's other hormones that are significantly affected by stress. And the big ones are going to be your insulin, your thyroid, and your sex hormones. So insulin, if that's impacted, that's going to affect your ability to lose weight. It's going to affect your energy levels and your metabolism, of course, which is tied into the weight piece. It's going to affect your thyroid function. So thyroid is super critical to metabolism. People who have a suboptimal thyroid are going to experience things like weight gain, brain fog, fatigue, anxiety, depression, constipation, dry skin, brittle nails, thinning hair, cold all the time. Anybody relate to any of these? Because I'm like, I check every single one. Yeah. So it definitely affects thyroid. And then our sex hormones too. So our estrogen levels, our progesterone, our testosterone, all of those are going to play a role in our mood, in our energy, and of course our reproductive health too. So when we look at the connection between stress and our hormones, there's kind of three pieces to it. So we talked about the elevated cortisol leading to things like weight gain, poor sleep, and the fatigue. Anybody feeling any of those things right now? Yeah. It's going to lead to those imbalances in your sex hormones. So talk about low libido, poor sexual function, lots of mood swings, feeling more irritable. Sorry, it's been a long day. And then of course that thyroid dysfunction that we talked about earlier. So sometimes what happens is, like myself, which is what I'm trying to do, is you enter in on the hamster wheel. You constantly feel stressed, your hormones are always imbalanced, and then you feel more stressed because maybe your low libido is affecting your relationship. Your sleep is making you snap at your children more because you're irritable all the time. And the vicious cycle just continues. So how do we get out of the cycle where we're not stressed and our hormones are all out of whack all the time? That's kind of our goal of tonight, is to talk a little bit about that. So we talked about some of the symptoms that you can notice. The biggest ones that I see in my clients is sleep, mood, and weight. Those seem to be the three biggest pieces, but everything kind of falls into three different categories. You have your physical symptoms, like the fatigue, the energy, the weight gain, trouble sleeping. You can even notice cycle irregularities, so maybe your cycles are more heavy, more irregular, you're noticing more of those PMS type symptoms, your hair starts to fall out or thin. And then we also experience more of the emotional and cognitive side effects of stress and hormone imbalance too. So mood swings, like we talked about, you're more irritable. Maybe you have new anxiety or depression. A lot of people describe to me like the brain fog, having a harder time recalling words, feeling like they're kind of stuck in a fishbowl all the time. Nothing is clear around them. And then digestive symptoms too can also be impacted. So people might start to notice more issues with bloating, discomfort. They have a lot of cravings for sugar, and then also changes in their appetite. Some people get stressed, they don't eat. Some people get stressed and they overeat. So we can kind of see those changes as well. So what's our approach here to helping with stress and hormones? So I kind of mentioned earlier, we're a functional medicine practice. So we really like to take more of a holistic approach. What happens a lot in the conventional model, I've been a part of it and I've experienced it myself, is many times you go in with a list of symptoms, and instead of looking at the symptoms as a collective picture, you get broken down into different symptoms. Oh, you have heart palpitations, you have to go see a cardiologist. Oh, you have gut issues, you have to go see a GI doctor. And people get shuffled around the system a lot, and they don't get answers. And none of these physicians or providers are collaborating with each other to figure out what's going on and causing these symptoms that many times are interlinked. So in a functional medicine approach, we look at the whole individual as a collective. So we're really big on lifestyle, your diet, your movement, your environment, stress, your childhood history, any like toxins or exposures in your environment, where you work, your relationships. So we really look at the full picture. We do tons of testing here too. So we do lots of serum or blood testing. We have additional like stool testings that we can do. We can look for toxins, molds. Chronic Lyme is a big thing that Trevor sees with a lot of his clients. So lots of testing that we can also do. And then taking those pieces and kind of puzzling them together. I always look at people kind of like a puzzle and putting the pieces together to figure out what's going on. So when I talk to my clients about stress and hormones, we're looking at, what's going on in their life. We're looking at blood work and some of these markers like their cortisol, their insulin, their inflammation. What do their hormones look like? But we also talk a lot about their diet and how we can support their adrenal glands and their sex hormones and all of that too. So some of the more common tests that we'll run is the cortisol blood tests. I do a lot of hormone panels on my female clients. So anyone who comes into our practice that is new, we do a full comprehensive lab panel that will include cortisol testing. We'll look at your female sex hormones like your DHEA, your estrogen, your testosterone, We'll look at progesterone levels as well. We do like to look at other things like your inflammatory markers. We do full comprehensive thyroid testing. So in conventional medicine, a lot of the times they only look at one marker, which is TSH. And we look at 7 different biomarkers, so full comprehensive panel there. And then sometimes you can look at more of the micronutrients. A lot of us are deficient. Our soils are not what they used to be. Our diets aren't as great as they used to be. So a lot of people tend to have deficiencies. Almost every person I see is deficient in vitamin D. So that's an easy one that you can replace from the get-go, but we definitely look at a lot of that as well. And then nutrition too. So when you're stressed, you do tend to go through a lot of your vitamins or nutrients really quick. Big ones are going to be B vitamins. B vitamins are super important to your overall energy and mood. So we do test on all of our clients their vitamin B12. We also look for any issues with like methylation. So there's some markers like homocysteine that we look at for that too. Magnesium is a big one too. Magnesium is great for relaxation. There's several different forms, but it's great for relaxation and supporting kind of those adrenal glands. Omega-3 fatty acids, we test that on all of our clients, and every single person comes back low on omegas because we just don't get enough in our diets. We don't eat a ton of fish around here in our area, so omega-3s are really important for inflammation, gut health, brain health, cardiovascular health. So pretty much everyone should be on an omega. Is really important. Protein is going to be a really important one too. Protein is really good for helping with satiety and helping to stabilize your blood sugar so you're not getting those spikes in your blood sugar and insulin throughout the day where you get that rush and that crash constantly. So things to avoid that are not good for adrenals, not good for stress. There's all the good stuff that we love, right? So refined sugars, processed foods, lots of caffeine. Definitely do not want to have those in our diet, and if we do have caffeine, try just a cup a day. And we do here at Valley Valley Medicine have the organo coffee, which doesn't give you the crashes, doesn't dehydrate you and deplete you of a lot of your minerals. So while you're here, try some. It's really good. Or take a packet home and see what you think. But that's a really good alternative if you're a huge coffee drinker. So. Movement is going to be really important when we're talking about stress management too. So we all know it's hard in the day-to-day grind to get our exercise in, but every time we do it, we're always going to feel better after we get that nice rush of dopamine after our workout. So benefits, of course, it's going to help bring our cortisol down. It's going to help with mood. It's going to help stabilize your blood sugar, help with any insulin resistance, and really help with metabolism too. So moderate intensity. I don't know if any of you were like me, but when you were younger, just cardio bunnies, running all the time, doing way too much HIIT exercise. We're starting to stray away from that because it puts too much stress on our bodies. So heavy lifting, walking are great places to start, especially if in your 30s, 40s, and beyond. Heavy lifting is going to be really important to maintaining and building your muscle mass, maintaining your metabolism. Protecting your bones too is going to be really important, so that's something I stress a lot to my clients in perimenopause and menopause. Other things we can work on, which I try to be better at, but easy things like breath work, journaling, meditation, finding something at home that helps where you can kind of check out and spend a little bit of time on self-care, which is kind of what you're doing tonight by being here, which is fun. Sleep is super important. I'm really surprised at how many of my clients do not get much sleep. If I do not sleep, you don't want to be around me. So 7 to 9 hours should be the goal consistently. So many women are sleeping 5 or less hours a night. That barely gives you time to get into that really restorative REM sleep that we need. So focusing on sleep is going to be a huge part of your stress management, helping with cortisol and insulin resistance and balancing your hormones too. So creating healthy sleep habits is a great place to start. Not being on our phones before bed, which I know is really hard, especially for myself. Going to the bed at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every day, creating that consistency and routines like that. Essential oils or relaxing like bedtime routines can be really helpful too. If you are in perimenopause or menopause, you need some progesterone. So if you're starting to notice that you're not sleeping as well, you're having a harder time falling asleep, staying asleep, it's likely due to a progesterone deficiency because your ovaries are not making progesterone anymore. So that's a big one, okay? There are some supplements that you can do that are really supportive for sleep. So we have actual like a sleep protocol. So if you're struggling with sleep, feel free to take a look at that because there are a lot of supplements that can be really helpful for supporting sleep and helping with that too. Some other supplement ideas if you're looking for ways to kind of support you and your adrenal glands and your hormones. So for adrenals specifically, ashwagandha is wonderful. So if you struggle with anxiety, high stress, feel burnt out all the time, ashwagandha can be really helpful. Same with rhodiola. B vitamins, like we talked about, are super important. People who are chronically stressed really burn through their B vitamins quickly. So being on a really good quality methylated B vitamin is good. Same with vitamin C. Vitamin C is huge with stress. For hormone balance, some of the supplements that you can try would be like Vitex, DIM. Our Rocasa line carries a ton of different products that are really supportive to hormone health. If you're looking at supplements that you can kind of add in. For stress, L-theanine and magnesium glycinate are huge ones, and those can also be helpful for sleep too. So great alternatives to being put on a sleep aid like trazodone or anything similar. So some of the therapies, there's Kiesta. Does anybody know Kiesta? No? Okay. I'm like, I feel like everybody knows who Kiesta is. So that's our Hocket that we showed you earlier. So some of the therapies that we have here that can be supportive if you're dealing with a lot of stress or hormone imbalances would be our ISIS we talked about. So a lot of our clients, again, use it for stress, anxiety, sleep, some of those mood disorders. So ISIS is a great option for that. IV therapies can be really good for helping with stress. We burn through those nutrients really quickly. We get you replenished. That can really help with mood and energy. And then the Hocket sauna that you see pictured there. And then the last one, which is what I do a lot of, is the hormone replacement therapy. So I do a lot with clients who have things like PCOS, endometriosis, infertility issues, perimenopause, menopause. A lot of them do really, really well on hormone replacement therapy, which that is a whole beast in and of itself. I have a presentation on our website, so if you're curious to learn more, if you go to our website, on one of the tabs, I think it's the blog tab, there's a video presentation that I did on there talking more about all the different hormones, all the different benefits, the protection it has, how it can help with different symptoms of perimenopause, menopause, and things like that too. So. Questions? I know that's a lot of information to throw at you in a short amount of time, but.
So what's the first step to come and, do you make an appointment and see a counselor, and then they tell you who you should see or what you should do, or?
Yeah, so here at our practice, what you can always do to get started with us is just come in through our wellness experience.
Okay.
So like I was mentioning before, that's the full comprehensive lab panel, a case review with me or Trevor where we sit down and talk about your history, go through all your lab work, and then kind of formulate a plan and next steps on what that looks like based on some of the information. And then it also includes your choice of either one of the Hocket sauna sessions or an IV session too. So that would be a great place to start to kind of figure out what track you need to be on and what's kind of going on with hormones, stress, kind of where you're at. So, yeah. And you guys, in your goodie bags, we did put a little, there's a little flyer in there. So you can either use it for $25 off of your wellness experience if you choose to do that, or you can use it towards an underarm with the Dialase, a free session for hair removal. So. And if you're like, I don't need either of those, you can gift it to somebody that you know that maybe needs some help with their hormones or could use some hair removal. Even men can do it. So like, back hair and neck hair, things like that. So.
And if you have any two other questions before getting into the get started with a wellness experience, you can set up a discovery call, which is literally just a phone call or a sort of Skype appointment where it gives you a chance to either ask Trevor or Emily a couple of questions and sort of let them know what you want to work on, and for them to be able to say, yep, either I think we're a great fit for you or not, but to give you pricing and sort of an idea too of what to expect in the future.
Yep, so that's our discovery call there. So you just go to our website, hit the book now, and you can get set up with a call with me, or we can kind of chat through some of the stuff you're experiencing and how we might be helpful for your health goals, what you're looking to achieve. So, yeah. Any other questions you guys have about anything we do here? It doesn't even have to be about stress. I'll talk about hormones too. That's my favorite.
This is a